All right, this is video number 3 in the Walleye Bootcamp series that we put together this fall, all about helping you catch more walleyes in fall. So the first video was all about location. The second video was all about presentation. And then this video right here, the third video, is just gonna fill in some gaps. So my goal with this is for it to not be too long. I want this to be nice and bite-sized, just with some good, valuable information that'll get you kind of pointed in the right direction in fall, especially if you haven't done a lot of fall walleye fishing. So without further ado, the first tip I'm gonna share with you in this video is to pay attention to the wind. A lot of times, wind-blown points, wind-blown shorelines, stuff like that will be very, very important. So pay attention to what direction the wind is blowing, but also pay attention to what direction the wind was blowing yesterday and the day before, because a lot of times the wind trends can be what is really, really important. So that wind over time, especially if it's consistent for a couple days, will set bait fish up in certain areas on certain shorelines. It'll push into certain inside corners, stuff like that. So it can be really, really critical to know which direction the wind is coming, because a lot of times that's where you'll find a lot of the fish loaded up. So that is tip number 1. All right, tip number 2 that I'm gonna share real quick is cold fronts. A lot of you probably think of cold fronts and you think, oh, that's terrible. That's gonna shut the bite off. I will say early in fall, before water temperatures really start to dive, cold front can be a negative thing, but once we are fully in fall and the fall transition is really officially happening, cold fronts are very, very good. So if you see a cold front coming up, obviously it's gonna be a little more uncomfortable to fish in really cold temperatures, but for catching fish, for the activity level of the fish, sometimes a cold front can really, really turn them on. And I found that some days the very, very best bites of the fall will be associated to those cold fronts that'll really, really get the fish snapping. So don't be afraid of cold fronts. Let's move on to the next step. All right, so here's another one. Something that you need to be paying attention to in fall is the thermocline. So eventually, once water temperatures drop low enough, the thermocline will disappear and the whole water column will be able to mix. So what that means, so when there is still a thermocline, the walleyes generally are not gonna be dipping down below that thermocline very often. So one thing I found actually in early fall is the walleyes will actually set up right on top of that thermocline. So if you're trolling cranks or casting or even looking around with forward-facing sonar, you will see fish just above that thermocline setup. And what they like to do is they like to go down, grab some bait fish, whatever, but they will set up right near that thermocline, and that'll be kind of like a consistent theme. But once that thermocline disappears, that's when you find those fish really, really, dropping super, super deep. So pay attention to the thermocline, because it's gonna have a big impact on the location of walleyes, especially in that transition period, because you're all of a sudden gonna see a lot of fish that are just above that thermocline. And then once that breaks free, you're gonna find a lot of fish in, significantly deeper water. So something to think about. Let's move on to the next step. All right, so the next thing we're gonna talk about is actually just how you conduct yourself on the water. There's a lot of different spots. Like I said, there's fish in all different types of spots this time of year. So whether you're on a small lake, moderate lake, big lake, there's not a huge need to go and play bumper boats with people. And the reason why I say that is because honestly, this time of year, there are so many less boats on the water. This is just a great time to get out on the water, relax, catch some fish, and mostly have the lake to yourself. So if you're on like a moderate sized lake and there's 2 or 3 other boats, just stay away from them. Honestly, there's so many places to catch fish. Don't pull up on people. Don't assume just because 1 or 2 people are fishing in a spot that, oh, that's the best spot on the lake. That's where all the fish are. That's where they're biting. Obviously, sometimes you don't pull up to spots and instantly start catching. So you have that thing in your head, oh man, I wonder where they're biting. Oh, there's 3 boats there. I should go over there. But don't do it. Go find your own fish. This is the time of year where you should be able to enjoy your solitude and not be playing bumper boats with other people. All right, so the next tip I have for you is to pack for all possible conditions. So today is, I mean, it's technically fall. This is late September when I'm shooting this video. I was fishing earlier today. I had a sweatshirt on. Now I've got a sun shirt on, and honestly, I'm almost sweating in this sun shirt. So it's one of those years where it seems like it's taking a long time for fall to officially get here. But even once fall is officially here, I would highly recommend, you know, packing some sort of sun shirt. I would pack a sweatshirt. I would pack a jacket, so you have all these different levels. And then I would also pack gloves, bring hand warmers, especially once you get into kind of the second half of fall. So have a bunch of things. Another thing, like if you're gonna go out and it's supposed to be 50 something degrees or whatever, at least pack some shorts to change into, because you might get halfway into the day and it actually got up into the 60s or whatever, and you're just, you know, sweating like crazy and whatever. So anyway, pack for all conditions. I've had days, even in like October or whatever, you know, where I've started out the day with basically a winter jacket on, and then by, you know, the middle or the end of the day, I was wearing a t-shirt. So something to consider. Don't ever be caught unprepared from just a gear standpoint. All right, so the next tip I got for you guys, and this is especially if you're an ice angler and you like to chase them out on early ice. The next piece of advice I have for you is go out and find them in fall. So drop your boat in the water as late as possible. You can go fish around, you can use side imaging, forward facing, 2D sonar, use your electronics and find as many fish as you can. A lot of times in fall, you know, you can find them really, really stacked up in certain areas. And I've done this a bunch of times, especially on Mille Lacs, where I went out as late as possible and I've found, and I've taken my graph and I've marked down as many waypoints as I could, you know, with a bunch of good walleye spots. And more often than not, you'll find that those fish are still gonna be there on early ice. So that's really, really critical and a great way to tip the odds in your favor on early ice. So another thing I would also recommend too, you know, if you've got waypoints in your graph and you can easily transmit those to ice fishing, that can be really useful. I have my ice shuttle that I use for my live scope, and I can put waypoints on there. But a lot of times I'm just using phone apps, you know, this time of year, or I shouldn't say this time of year, but in late fall, I'm using my phone apps, because when I drop waypoints on there, I can take my phone with me out on early ice. So, you know, there's a bunch of different apps that you can put your, I got trees coming up here, so I got to reposition my boat, but you get the idea. Look for your first ice spots in late fall, and you're gonna have a lot more success in, you know, 2 or 3 weeks later. All right, the last piece of advice I have for you, it's gonna sound a little silly, but it's probably my favorite tip in this whole video, is don't put your boat away yet. So many people, I'm on the lake right now, it's the end of September, and I'm seeing people, you know, bringing their boat, like the most of the activity at the boat ramp right now is people taking their boats off of the lake because they're done for the summer or whatever. So, so many people, they like to focus on spring, you know, fishing opener here in Minnesota is really popular. And then, you know, summer fishing, you're out here for the 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day, and then kind of everything in between there. And that's kind of the focus for most people. But honestly, fall is probably the very, very best walleye bite of the whole season. Honestly, it probably is the very, very best bite. So take advantage of it. Don't put your boat away. We already talked about how you can utilize it to find good early ice spots. There's a lot of people that love to fish early ice walleyes and summer walleyes. And they kind of just go out, they go out in the woods in fall or whatever. Even if you're a diehard hunter, you know, go out a little bit in fall, take advantage of the best bite of the year, find your walleyes for early ice, and just take advantage of the fact that you got the lake to yourself, and this is the best time of year to be out here, so don't skip it. But anyway, that is the third video in this series. I hope you got a little bit of value from this. I hope you can go catch some more walleyes this fall because of this little 3 video series. For whatever reason you skipped the first 2 videos, I'll put them right here, right there. You can watch them. There's a lot of good information, and like I mentioned before, it's just a nice brief video, not very long, so you'll be able to buzz through them pretty quick and get some great information on location and presentation.